Formative speech, 1967. My daughter Faith Lipsey, husband Edward Lipsey, son Ezekiel Lipsey. Sorry. Summer of love, war, and riots. Imagine the year is 1967, the year that produced some of the greatest hits out of Motown, while at the same time the Hitsville USA's writing team of Holland and Dozier was suing Motown. The cost of a house was $24,600. The average middle class income was $7,143. A gallon of gas was 33 cents. A dozen of eggs was 49 cents. A gallon of gas was $1.03. My, how times have changed. While unemployment was at a whopping low 3.8%, and it all seems as things were great and good for the United States of America, but that was far from true. Young people all over the U.S. was about to make a pilgrimage to Haight-Ashbury Park, San Francisco. Love, hippie style. This was the year of love. The hippies descend on Haight-Ashbury Park for a weekend of creative expression, sexual freedom, psychedelic drugs, and politics. Over 100,000 young people made the pilgrimage to Haight-Ashbury Park. This became the epicenter of a powerful movement of self-expression, love, peace, and harmony. People from very many diverse educations and backgrounds came together to express their complete desire and protest against the war, the Vietnam War. War was the Achilles heel for America at this time, the Vietnam War. On the heels of the love and sex movement was one of the most controversial and highly political charged wars. The Vietnam War was fully charged and at its most devastatingly high, with over 500 more thousand troops there fighting than we had in the Korean War. This war was to be a news for the United States of America. Rallies took place all over, protesting this war and the senseless death and violence that it produced. Dr. King, with many others, marched in protest. They all marched simultaneously in different states. Dr. King led this group of hippies, nuns, and priests all through downtown San Francisco in strong opposition of the war in Vietnam. Meanwhile, there was civil unrest in Maryland, Detroit, and many other cities all over the United States of America. Headline reads, H.R. Brown cries, "Burn this town down," while in Maryland, apparently people were listening as racial riots in Detroit end the summer of love. In violence, 43 are dead, 1,700 stores destroyed, as federal troops are deployed to deal with the mayhem. Detroit is an urban epicenter that had an influx of Southerners and people from all over the United States of America coming in to seek refuge at a time where they needed employment and justice. During the 40s, 50s, and 60s, Detroit was considered to be the motor city. We produced many cars. But violence and racial discrimination would be the downfall of the city of Detroit. Police were extremely racist and extremely brutal at this time. A young man returned home from the Vietnam War over on what's called the Black Bottom side of the east side of Detroit. This young man wanted to just have a party, him and a couple of friends. The police decided to do what's called a blind pig, and there were only 8 officers designated to do this. They would go in, they would raid, and they would create complete havoc. This would be the catalyst of the riots for the city of Detroit. This was the onset of what would be the largest white flight from the city of Detroit. we lost over 23% of the white population within a 7 to 8 month period. That increase, that gave a 29% increase of black ownership in the city of Detroit. Now, we would think that this would be something that would be phenomenal for the city of Detroit, but it ultimately killed the city of Detroit because you lost a lot of your income revenue. Because blacks at that time were not allowed to make the same amount of money as their counterparts, even though they were far more educated than the white counterparts. The Summer of Love Warren riots was to be a pivotal point in which changed the shape of America. We will never see such unification and support, good or bad, as we did in 1967. Thank you.